I never cared that much about Beto because I can't get much enthusiasm up for like an anti-gun guy, much less
Mm.
in Texas. But no, I don't think he's that bad of a politician. I think he just keeps crippling himself by like, but I mean, anti-gun politician in Texas, right? You're basically axing out any independent support there. So it's he made things hard for himself.
I don't know about the anti-gun stuff though, because Biden keeps saying that I want to get the ban on assault rifles again, right? He keeps saying that over and over and
Um,
over again, and he was not punished for that in these midterms.
he's running nationally, not for Texas, but yeah. I mean, the anti-gun stuff on the part of the Democrats has always been something that I've been pretty opposed to. But I guess a lot of Americans like it. I don't know.
I just the gun reform bill that they passed on a federal level was pretty good. It shored up red flag laws so they can be enforced and increased scrutiny for people under 21 to buy weapons. I mean, do you have a problem with that as far as
No, I'm fine with that.
accessing juvenile records for people to buy like rifles and such?
No, I'm okay with those laws. I think the
Because that's what we mean when we mean like gun control, that
pur-
kind of stuff.
purchase wait time, I'm fine. No, because these cucks over here on the West Coast keep telling me that I can't own a 100-round magazine, which God would have wanted me to own, and also the founding fathers.
There's
Um,
no shot you support owning a 100
yeah,
round magazine. No shot.
the first rifle I got, which you can see the barrel of right back there, the guy said like, "Hey, do you want a drum mag? We have one drum mag in the shop. I'll give it to you for an extra 60." And I didn't want a drum mag because it looked like truck nuts for my gun. I should have gotten that before they passed the fucking law to make it illegal.
Okay,
Um,
I have to fight with you a little bit about the gun stuff here because I know you were saying like people need to start arming up, right? Because of the like the trans genocide stuff, right?
well, for a variety of reasons, it's
Yeah.
pretty bad all
I'm
around.
concerned about introducing a gun into people's homes because the suicide rate goes up, the accidental shooting rate goes up. Like, how do you respond to that?
Oh yeah, owning firearms, statistically speaking, increases the likelihood um, of you being hurt by them in a neutral setting.
Yes.
In a peaceful liberal democracy where nothing is going wrong and there isn't political instability, it does nothing but add an average increase in likelihood to self or projected harm.
Okay.
My worry isn't with stuff like that. It's with more substantial political developments that I'd be concerned with.
Okay, so it's a matter of just protecting yourself from the authorities because I feel like even the local police is so militarized at this point that they all have APCs and they'll just crash it into the side of your house and burn it down like Waco.
Now, well, my worry is more like back during the BLM riots in places like Portland, there were some far-right militias who wandered on into the city. See, I live in Washington. Washington and Oregon are like two or three blue cities surrounded by neo-Nazis and far-right militia.
Mm,
The hills, the eastern parts of these states are full of like not just red, but like deep red. And a lot of these people are like secessionists. They're the like Cascadia types where they want like an all white like Pacific Northwest. And a lot of these people have armories, and there are forums that you can look at where you can see them talk with each other, and they kind of fantasize about rolling on in to the cities armed and like putting us down. And the reason for that is because they feel like they're occupied. Like all the political stuff in Washington, is kind of dictated by Seattle and Tacoma and shit. And they
right.
feel like, yeah, we're the real Washington. And it's just this one or two like liberal hotspots that are the issue. And they talk and they are incredibly well armed. If ever there was any like real political instability, like an attempt, like a real coup or anything like that, I worry about folks like that going into blue cities and just trying to like occupy areas. That happens pretty often when you take a look at violent coups in other countries. If you take a look at like what happened in Myanmar, or like the way the temporary like white supremacist occupation of Bolivia went down, there's usually like the hope that we have the military and police, but also like the radicalized citizens will be the bulwark, like they'll be the first wave, and they'll go into the cities and towns, and they'll basically, like, let's be real, they'll gun down like black people, and they'll find local leaders and execute them. It's happened before elsewhere, and if it happened here, I think that I think it would be certainly a lot better if people here were capable of defending themselves.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I just feel like we're a long way away from that. If on the internet the rhetoric's real hot, and yeah, there is stuff happening out there, but it just seems like cooler heads prevail in the end, and I'd like to see people just get more involved instead of thinking that the end is near. That's just my thoughts
Well, you
on
got to
it.
do both. But keep in mind, we just got a 50.1 to 49.9, and the other party has fully backed the idea that Donald Trump won the last election and that Biden is an illegitimate president. Like like we're celebrating because we barely held a line against another party that is fully consolidated behind like an insurrectionist narrative. I wouldn't be complacent is all. You know, maybe nothing would happen. And if nothing happens, God, I hope that's the case. That'd be a lot easier, huh?
Well, but then, I go back to my point that like they have suffered defeats because of taking on these talking points and this position, and I don't think they're going to keep doing that. I think they're going to realize that we've got to abandon this line of thinking because we're not winning elections here. We've lost three major elections in a row, and so you don't think they're going to pivot at all?
No, I don't. No.
Mm.
The past couple of years, all they've done is gotten more radical. They lost in 2020, and all they did was get more radical. I mean, they did a coup attempt, and then they've all defended that coup attempt. And since then, they've only continued to repeat or exacerbate all those tendencies. I don't think they're going to back off. I just think they're going to use whatever means they have to disenfranchise people who disagree with them, like with the Moore v. Harper thing, you know. And eventually, the democratic element won't even matter. I think it'll just be them winning will just be a formality, and after that, you know, it's kind of a pretty bad situation
Okay.
to be in.
So then let me ask you this, and you may not have the answer, but I'm just kind of curious. Like, so how do we fix it then? Like, what do you look forward to? Like, what do you think is a path to go down to put us on the right footing? Like, how do we fix it? I guess is the ultimate question in your eyes.
Well, the big one is that the Republican Party would have to make a mistake that the Democrats capitalized on. Like, a big one would be like mass arrests for sedition. I think you could easily justify that right now. A lot of people in office right now openly supported a coup attempt, an attempt at murdering public officials to prevent them from enacting the legal processes of the United States. This is definitionally sedition, you know, but the Democrats are weak. The Republicans have to give them like a really big in. And that's why they want DeSantis over Trump. Trump's an idiot and would give them an in, I think, as he very nearly did with Jan 6. DeSantis would be a bit more careful, and I think that Dems would have like no chance against that because they're not like aggressive enough. So my hope is that essentially the Republicans make a big mistake. That's my big hope. In the long run, though, I don't think the Republican Party will ever get more moderate on its own. It'll have to take like an ousting of those in power or some kind of like crackdown of insurrectionary activity, I think, to really facilitate that.
The encouraging of people to buy guns, that concerns me, and it's not to you personally, but just introducing a gun into anybody's home could be very dangerous, right? And for a perhaps far off conflict, I don't know if it's worth it because it could endanger someone, and especially people in the trans community who have like a high suicide rate, and and it's just kind of seems a little scary to me.
Well, I do encourage proper gun safety and for people to be mindful of their mental health when they consider buying it. Of course, it very much like encouraging somebody to buy a car if it's available to them. This is something which statistically increases the likelihood of them dying. But I think it's important to understand the outsized benefits of these, of these decisions. Right now, there are groups of people who already have guns, and they hate us and they want us dead. If ever there was a reason to buy a gun, it would probably be to, at the very least, discourage any kind of armed mass action against liberal areas or cities or the like. You don't know. I mean, when the BLM riots were happening, those Patriot Prayer fucks or whatever, like those guys with their pickup trucks with the AR-15s rolling on into liberal cities, you can take a look at their internal chats. A lot of their Telegram logs have been leaked. You know what those guys are talking about? We're talking tens or even hundreds of thousands of people in rural areas outside of major liberal cities. You know what they talk about with each other? They're not talking to each other about keeping the peace. They fantasize about gunning down black people. They dream of the day of the rope. They dream of driving into liberal inner city areas and emptying their magazines into large crowds of Democrat voters. This isn't like a hypothetical. is a product of the internet. You know, you can actively see them wanting to do these things. And in an environment like that, you know, I think it's irresponsible to not say to my audience, you know, depending on where you are in this country, there's a very real possibility that in your lifetime, given higher levels of political instability, the area you're in might like legit become a conflict zone. And if it is, you know, do you want the only people with guns to be people who are coming there to kill you? I certainly think not. They're dangerous tools. I don't deny that. But I don't lie to my audience about that either. I hope anyone who listens to me talk about it knows that just owning a gun does put your life on a bit of a lower timer.